Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today we are going to be working on one of the custom modular buildings here in the Lego City, and that is actually going to be the flower shop. We haven't touched that in some time, and so I want to go in and I want to finally make some progress on it. So let me bring you guys over to it, and I'll show you guys what it currently looks like. All right, so as you can see, we have the Sanctum Sanctorum on the left, and then we have the Lego store right next to it, and then on the other side of it is my custom post office right here. And I think that looks pretty good. I think there's a lot of neat details on it, but it's obviously not done yet. So we need to go in and we need to pull this out of the city and modify quite a bit of it because I think we can do much better than how it currently looks. So let's bring it over to the build table and let's get started. All right, so this is a more up close and personal look at the flower shop here. The Lego store is just on the same base plate, so that's why it's over here. But the Lego store I'm really happy with. Actually, I like the height. I like everything about it. But the flower shop here just doesn't work for me. I want to try something different. I like the shape of the first floor. I like everything about that. But for whatever reason, the second floor and the third aren't really working for me. So I'm going to need to go in and figure that out. And I also need to figure out a way to use more sand green on these walls here. But I don't really have many sand green bricks left. So I need to kind of figure that out. So that is something that I want to do. And I also want to make the back look a little bit nicer because you can actually see this from the front of the city. So I want this to look pretty good. And at the moment it does not. So I want it to kind of look something like this, or at least on this level. So that is my plan. I don't have many windows, but I do have a bunch in dark bluish gray that I am saving for the apartment building. But we could use a couple in this build. I don't think that would be the end of the world. So I'm going to go in and I'm probably going to just leave the first floor as is. And then I might just try and redo the second and third because I like how this looks. I really do. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to try and modify the second and third floors and see what I can come up with. And hopefully it's something that looks pretty good. All right, so I know I said I was going to work on the second and third floors, but I ended up shifting my attention over to the first floor because this window, I think, was giving me a little bit of roadblock with the other floors. And so I decided to go in and actually change the window design. And so instead of using the 1x2x3 windows, which I was using on all of the floors, I've decided to go in and use the 1x3x2s on their side. So actually the windows would sit like this. And then I have a plate, the windows, I have one here, and then I have another plate, another pair of windows, and then a tile above that, or I guess to the side of it. But the math worked out pretty good, actually, and I also was able to fit these curved arches above it, same as the door. So everything matches now, which is really, really cool. And the previous window design didn't have that, didn't have the space for that. So I think this is actually looking, dare I say, better than before. And then that actually gives me enough room to repeat this design on the other floors as well. And it gives me an excuse to use these curved arches here because I bought a bunch of them off the pick-a-brick wall years and years ago. And I didn't know what to do with them, but I knew they'd come in handy one day. And I think today is finally that day. So really happy about that. So we can go in and we can actually use them. And this is only connected with one stud. So this is kind of just mostly free floating in there. It's not going to go anywhere because it does have one point of connection, but it's not the best. But it's fine. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. So with that, we can go in and we can just add back the foliage detail on the little section right here for the flowers. And then we can go ahead and we can move on to the floors above because I think with this change, it's going to be a lot easier to make the upper floors look better. So this is the design that I'm ultimately ending up with for the second floor here. So as you can see, the first floor window hasn't changed since the last clip, and the second floor window is copying that. And I think that makes for a more cohesive look. And I also thought that having all of these windows was just a little too much. So I think this looks better, and I tried a couple different designs for this side over here, but I couldn't get anything that I liked more than this. So I'm just going to leave it for the time being, and I think it looks all right. As for the back and the sides, I haven't changed this up yet, but I'm probably going to have to at some point because this last row of studs on the white brick shows through when you have the post office next to this. So need to figure that out. And I also need to figure out the window design for the back here. So I need to go in and I need to add a couple windows here thankfully, I actually have a couple extras now because I took them off of the facade. So I have a few extras laying around so I can go in and add them here. Hopefully that'll look pretty good, and then we can kind of take it from there. So with that, I am going to just get back to work because that is pretty much everything I've done so far. So with that, we can finish up the back, we can do the third floor, and then we can design a roof, and then we can place it back in the city. So it took quite a bit of time, but I managed to go in and redo the walls on the second floor here. So now they have the white brick, and I'm using the white brick just because I didn't have enough sand green to do all 3 floors in all sand green. So just hiding the white brick away in between these other buildings, and that works out pretty good. I did have to rebuild this like 3 times, but that is besides the point. And I think the back looks a little bit better now. It's obviously a little plain, but that gets the job done. And then I think I'm going to take some white tile or maybe tan tile or something like that to kind of put them there. Maybe like shutters or something like that. So I think that would look pretty good. I just need to get my tiles and then kind of take care of that. But this second floor is now done here. And so now we can go in and we can start to work on the third floor here. I already went and I built up the sides and the back of this section here, so that is all good to go. But the only thing that I need to do now is the hard part actually, which is the facade. I need to figure out if I want to keep this same window design and just bring it up to the third floor, or if I want to go with my original plan, which was to make a balcony here and then obviously have a place where figures can stand. So I need to figure that out. I was not happy with how the previous version came out, so I need to go in and I need to fix that up. So I have a lot of work cut out for me, so I think I'm just going to get back to work and I'll show you guys any progress that I make, and hopefully this turns out looking pretty good. Alright, so after a lot of tinkering around with this, I think I'm finally coming up with something that I kind of like. Originally, I was going to have the balcony be on the left side here, but I couldn't get it to work and I didn't really think it looked that great. So I ended up just making another one of these windows. So now it is the same on all 3 floors. And then I moved the door over to here. And I think that could work. I'm not totally sure about that yet, though. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I don't know how another window would look here. I don't know if that would be too much. So I'm going to leave the door for the time being. I'm going to find a fence for it and then also an actual door for the frame. And then we can kind of take it from there, and then we can build the roof and then see how it's going to shape up, because other than that, I'm not entirely sure what I have planned for this, especially the roof here. So I still have some work to do. We're in the home stretch. You know, the third floor is basically done here. And I did also go ahead and get the tiles for the back. So that's all good. I would have preferred these to be tan, but I didn't have any in tan, so I just have to use white. I don't think that looks too bad though. So that is pretty much everything I've been up to so far. It's mostly just been trying different things with this. A lot went into this behind the scenes, but I ended up giving up because I couldn't make anything that I liked better than this window design here. So that is pretty much that. So I'm going to get back to work and I will show you guys what this looks like in the next clip, and hopefully by then it will be done. Alright, so I'm not the best at making roofs. If you guys have watched any of my other videos, you would know this, but I think this actually turned out pretty decent. I tried to bring back some of the tan that was down at the bottom. I thought that helped make it look a little bit more complete from top to bottom, and I think this is pretty good. And then on these jumpers here, I'm not sure what I would add, but I think I would add some detail. I only had 2 2x2 tiles instead of the 5 that I would have needed, so I threw in some 1x2s, but I still don't have a third one, so I probably am going to have to find one or just add a little detail onto these jumpers here, but it's not the end of the world. I think that helps make this look pretty good, actually. And then kind of spinning this around to the back here, it hasn't really changed, but I will be adding a little bit of foliage onto these ledges here before I add it into the city, and then we can go ahead and finish up the build. It's pretty much done except for those flowers there, and I did forget to find a fence. So that is everything that I still need to do, which is actually not that much. So we are in the home stretch now, and I think this roof actually turned out pretty decent here. As you can see, it's pretty basic, but it does get the job done, which is always good to see. So I think that works for me. I think it looks pretty good, and I finally found a use for these inverted curved slopes here. I got these on the pick-a-brick wall probably like 3 years ago at this point. It's been a while, and I only got a handful because I didn't know what I'd do with them, but I'm finally finding a use for a couple of them, so that is really, really nice to see. And so with that, let's go ahead and get those last little details on there, and then we can add this to the city and see how it looks. All right, so here it is placed in the city, and I think this looks really, really good. I am very happy with how this turned out. And so as you can see on the right, we have the post office here. Obviously, that's on a different base plate. And then obviously the Lego store is on the same one like you saw earlier. And I think this is a really nice height variation. I might actually end up just leaving the post office at 2 floors. That might actually work for me. So that is just something to note going forward. Once we do return to this building, then maybe we just make it 2 floors and kind of call it a day. But I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it as well. If you do, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss any future uploads, like when we work on other custom buildings. If you guys have any feedback for me on this custom flower shop here, make sure to drop a comment down below to let me know what you think. But once again, seriously, thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.